I tore my ACL in March. I will do a big video about it. Welcome to my ACL diary. I arrived at hospital. They quickly got me changed and ready for surgery. And then I was out. I was heavily sedated beforehand. And when I came out, very heavily sedated, as you can see. I keep forgetting to breathe. Maybe a little silly, but also very happy that I then got to be able to drink my grape juice and eat an extremely dry muffin. It was fantastic. Muffin, grape juice. It is dry, but yeah, just one. It's a bit dry.
I'm sorry. Put butter on it, honestly. Do you need another butter?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You are the only exception. You are the only exception. You are the only exception. As you can tell, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself eating my muffin and singing along to Paramore. I think at this point I might have completely forgotten that I was filming and was really trying to just eat and focus on breathing. They did have to keep reminding me to breathe very often. I'm awake.
Yeah, that's okay. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, if you want to come slightly before.
The challenge is to get dressed. I got this far and I'm having a break. I got home, I got all set up with my cryo cuff, which makes a lot of noise, and it's leaking out of here. Yeah, you can see it leaking. My bandages are not supposed to get wet at all for the first 4 days of having them. So I just had to film this so that I could hopefully take my cryo cuff back and get a replacement. So because it's leaking and I need it and PharmaSave is closed, I am putting tape over the holes. I think it's too wet.
Correct.
Warning for the next photo, my leg was bleeding all over the floor. I had droplets on the bathroom floor, so I went back into hospital. They rebandaged it and then came home, and for the night had to bin bag my leg together. I got to trying to get to sleep. I was so tired. My mind was racing. I was really anxious and it meant I couldn't sleep, so I just started writing things down. My cryo cuff was making so much noise, so I couldn't sleep, and I needed to figure out some kind of sleep music that would help me fall back to sleep again. So I remembered something that had previously helped me, and I went searching for that. First things first, we take a nap. I'm so tired. I'm gonna put my sleepy mask on. I'm all set up in the living room. Got my medication. Got this to make some podcast stuff later. Got my crochet to make my jumper. But first things first, it's time for a nap. So, good night. And here's to the podcast. This podcast is just going to be focused on checking in with myself and others and doing a little bit more research into how I can improve my mental health. I'm going to go through my story of my ACL surgery and how this has affected me mentally, and how it's a bit of a catalyst for me to change what's going on. So enjoy. This podcast will be going on YouTube, so there will be some visual aspects to it. My YouTube video will also include some more background information, so if you want to go check that out, go ahead, and please subscribe to the channel. I'll put all the information in the podcast description. So first things first, I need to make sure that this is working, which I don't think it is. Just a moment. Okay, it is working. I just checked. Your host
I just
is
noticed
Georgina
that there's
Skinner.
stains
That's me.
on this pillow. So just don't look at those. Maybe I'll put something there so you can't see them. How about that? Okay, so welcome to my ACL diaries. Day 1. Woohoo! I just had a nice little visit from my friends. That was lovely. I slept not very well last night because my cryo cuff machine, which you will see right here, it makes lots of noise. I've had to unplug it. Maybe I'll plug it in to show you how loud it is, but it was very difficult to sleep last night. I feel a bit bad for Tommy because he didn't have headphones and I did, and so he definitely didn't sleep as well as I did last night. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I think having this surgery has been a very big thing for me, mentally, just mentally, basically. Physically, it's been great. I've been going to the physio. I've been doing rehab beforehand. I'm not worried about the healing process. It's been a very difficult mental thing for me. I have known that I've had a torn ACL since the 4th of April, so it's not been that much of a surprise to me, and it wasn't a surprise that when the surgeon came and told me that it was completely gone when he replaced it yesterday, that it wasn't there. Yeah, that didn't really surprise me, but I have definitely had some pretty difficult times, as I said, mentally. When I found out on I think it must have been the 13th of October. Yeah, it was the 13th of October, Friday the 13th. What a day. I was called in that morning that I was having my operation on the 1st of November. So it wasn't very much of a time between those two dates. I'd been feeling pretty good within myself, feeling pretty mentally stable, thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Good for you, George. Keep up the good work. Turns out, wasn't doing pretty well. I almost fainted when they told me. My body obviously reacted quite badly to it. Uncontrollably started crying, just in shock and overwhelmed because I didn't feel ready. I was worried about all sorts of things. Then that evening I went to my friend's house. I told her about all my different anxieties, and then I had a psychotic episode on that evening, where that continued throughout the weekend. I went to hospital because I kept fainting, and I was thinking that I was in surgery and that I was dying, and I needed to wake up and tell the surgeons that I was dying. So, not super great. And since then I have been struggling quite a bit with different anxiety bits and pieces. My aim is to use my diet to help with my mental health, to use my routine to help me with my mental health, to use some different techniques that I've never tried, like energy healing. I went for a sound bath on the Sunday after I had my psychosis event, if you could call it that. Not really sure. I need to talk more closely with a therapist, psychiatrist to help figure out what actually went on in my brain to make me hallucinate and think things I was thinking. So basically, I'm going to just start off with my day yesterday and what happened and how surgery went. I went in. I was super anxious. They gave me a anti-anxiety and sedative. I don't really remember much from then. I was kind of in and out. They gave me a pain blocker in my leg, which is still in there, but it will start to fade in the next couple of days, and that will then mean that I'll start to feel more pain. But I remember getting on the operating table, and then waking up really groggy afterwards. I dreamt. I had a dream. It wasn't a good dream. It wasn't a bad dream. It was kind of an uncomfortable dream. I don't really remember what happened in the dream, but I remember feeling uncomfortable. And then kind of, yeah, everybody was so lovely. All the nurses were amazing. They did everything they could to help me feel calm. The surgery went really well. And that's really great. Fantastic. But then, after getting home, I've written a lot of things down, so that's why I'm looking at my phone. I immediately started to feel as though I couldn't ask for any help from Tommy. And that's not Tommy's fault. That's just was in my mind. I don't like feeling like a burden on people. I felt as though he didn't really like me within the first couple of hours of being home, and that's just an intrusive pattern of thought that I have regularly. I'm constantly asking him if he loves me still, even though he just told me he loved me. This is definitely one of the most prevalent problems that I have, and that I've really noticed within the last month. And it has made me realise that it's one of my main difficulties that I deal with as an anxiety symptom. Just like this internal intrusive thought monologue, which I think then has led me to do certain other things. I am going to be bringing this up with my new psychiatrist, which, talking about getting a new psychiatrist, I have not met them yet. But after seeing a psychiatrist that I didn't really like for almost a whole year, by luck of the draw, he started to reduce his hours so that he could retire. This kind of was the catalyst, along with having a psychosis episode, for me being able to get a new psychiatrist, which is ridiculous. I know I could have spoken up for myself sooner, but it's a mental battle, especially when you've got anxiety. It's very difficult to kind of get past certain things like that. So this new psychiatrist will hopefully make me feel as though they actually care about me and my time. I think that they will, because they've already set up an 1.5-hour appointment with me, which is completely different from my previous psychiatrist. My first meeting with my previous psychiatrist was after I'd had a pretty awful time, suicidal thoughts, not feeling great, and he had all the notes. He knew what was going on, and he was just there like, not. I don't know. It was awful. My first session with him, and by the time that he finally pushed me to say explicitly what I was feeling and what was going on, he was like, "Oh, time's up," and I literally just started crying, and he's like, "Well, you gotta go," and it was just like, great. So I already have a good feeling about this new psychiatrist. I think hopefully they'll take me more seriously. It makes me feel very sad and unimpressed with myself that I wasn't able to kind of speak up and say anything about it before with my previous psychiatrist. Obviously, I'm giving myself a hard time, which is just like a pretty common thing to be happening. But yeah, upset with myself and having a go at myself is definitely something that I do regularly, which I've definitely realised is obviously not a very good thing. We need to practice self-love. I'm not sure if that's the right thing to say. It sounds a bit weird and funky, but anyways, I'll figure that one out. It is sad, but I didn't feel as though I could speak up and stand my ground about the fact that my psychiatrist was not right for me. I felt as though I didn't have any other options. First of all, I live in a small town, and apparently he's the only psychiatrist in town, so that obviously means I have no other options. He's also free to go to because part of the health thing in Canada, you can see psychiatrists for free, which is great, but also not great because it meant that I wasn't looking at other options for myself. The roadblocks that I had given myself were money, as I just mentioned. My therapist telling me that this psychiatrist was highly experienced, even though I had just expressed to my therapist how I felt and that I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I'd been shut down. My feelings weren't valid because my therapist, essentially, as soon as I told them, just said, well, they know what they're talking about. That's the psychiatrists act in a different way than therapists do. They're not there to hold your hand. Anyways, I think if you're working in such a in a position that is kind of like, it's powerful to people who have mental health issues or any kind of mental illness, like somebody that you're going to see to help you, they are in a position of power. So they need to then support you and help you. And it's scary to go and talk to people. And I don't know if that sometimes gets forgotten by the people. I don't know if that sometimes gets forgotten about by people in those positions of power. Or at least that's what it's felt like to me with my recent experience. Growing in the environment that we are, like, these feelings kind of come from growing up in an environment that we're not supposed to trust ourselves as women. I'm not supposed to trust my decisions because they're not valid, because nobody listens to them. A little backstory on this psychiatrist. I won't tell you too much, but he's nearing 80s, potentially 80-something-year-old man. And just that in itself is enough of a background for you to, or anyone to maybe think, yeah, maybe not the right person. Practicing psychiatry from something that he's learned from a long, long time ago. And yeah, okay, I'm probably not giving him the benefit of the doubt of the fact that he's learned lots over his time. Yes, he has experienced all this stuff, but anyways, not the right guy for me. Maybe the right guy for someone else, not for me. We need to stop telling ourselves stories to trying to validate feelings to ourselves. Like these feelings that I've had, that I felt were shut down, I felt like I needed to validate them to myself. Whereas if I feel something, it's okay to feel that thing. It doesn't make me a bad person for feeling something. Anyways, so that was a very big tangent as to the mental side of how I felt since getting this surgery. Overall, the actual surgery itself, not bad. My knee is not in pain. At the moment, I'm getting waves of sharp pain, but where I guess the pain blocker is wearing off. But overall, it's pretty good. So that's looking up. I'm going to be continuing to do some more checking in with yourself as a kind of diary series with How Do You Peel? And I might see if I can get some other people to check in with themselves too and see how they're peeling. Something that I thought I wanted to end this off with, this short little diary, is something that my sister told me yesterday that I think is fantastic. Hugs need to be 7 seconds long. Because at 7 seconds, that's when your oxytocin gets released in your brain. So we need 8 hugs a day, and they need to be 7 seconds long each. And then obviously that's not the cure for everything, and then we'll be nice and happy. Also, hugging people is so lovely. Give each other some support. Just, have some good bits and pieces all around you. Love is everything. Hugs are everything. Yep, that's me. Cool. I will see you later, alligators. And I'm probably going to be thinking of more things and tell you some more things. My friends coming to visit me today was really great. Please follow this podcast, listen to this podcast, subscribe to this YouTube channel because I'm putting this on YouTube as well. Yep, that's me. I'm going to be adding in some clips in the YouTube video to share my kind of waking up in hospital experience. And how my rest of my day was yesterday. I did have to go back in the evening because my knee or one of my incisions was bleeding a lot and my cryo cuff was leaking all over the place, and you're not supposed to get your bandages wet within the first 4 days. So I did have to go in and kind of do a bit of 3 hours in the hospital, but that's okay. It worked out and I've got a new cryo cuff now and all's good in love and war. I don't know why I said that, but bye.